today? 18.
Hi, this is John Rakestraw, and this is Rakestraw Book Design Live Events. I happen to have the great honor to be with some amazing people today. First of all, we have Annie Perkins, high school student who wants to talk to two, I guess, guys who think they know what they're doing in the business.
That's right.
Actually, Mark Lewis is the business. If you've ever had the opportunity to see this man, he is a magnificent. I would tell you, as a storyteller, no one touches him. I don't care who you say you are. I have seen this man do many things. Two-time Emmy winner.
That's true.
Wonderful VCR tape that I once had. Now it's a DVD, I believe. That's right. And amazing talent. Also of stage, screen, television, the whole thing. Have you done movies?
You have a couple of educational films.
See?
You know, I love doing what I do, and that is tell stories, whether it's in live or on paper or on stage or wherever. I just love telling my story, and that's why we're here today to talk about stories, right?
Right.
So, storytelling is part of our life. It's part of the grand wonder of the world. And I have to tell you, Mark Lewis taught me one thing a long time ago. I think I met you probably, 19 years ago? Don't want to date us at all.
We haven't aged today.
Yeah, we looked the same as we did then. We weren't very good looking then either, so. Actually, two very good. I am the best looking ugly guy you'll ever meet. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, the reality is, I understood how to be a freelancer. That was one of the great things about being an actor. Mark is a freelancer. He's been doing freelance all his life.
I'm selectively employed, is how I say.
Ooh, I like that. Selectively employed. Ooh, that's almost as good as hydroceramic engineer is what I used to tell people. You know what that was?
Yes, I do.
That was a dishwasher. I did that for 5 years. And people thought I was something big when I did that. So when we think about this, Mark showed me again how to be a freelancer. He did it. He's made a lifelong career of doing it. I didn't have the output area for that. I didn't understand that. Along comes the internet. Now the internet gave me an unbelievable thing, and that was distribution. That's it. And that's what's happening nowadays, is distribution. So not was my audience just local, it was now global. Now the big thing was, and this is where Mark came into the picture for me, because I remembered this, was content.
That's right. You got to create content. You have to create something that you can distribute.
Right, and it was an amazing concept. Here we were, suddenly having to do content. The internet is looking for content. I mean, if it wasn't, you wouldn't have Kevin Spacey doing House of Cards right now, or you wouldn't have John Goodman doing, what is it, Alpha House? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Amazon, funny, good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So those guys are doing it. Why aren't we doing it? And that's what changed. So what came along was, first of all, for me, and Mark has used it also, is Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah.
Great avenue. I could do a blog. I could actually do a talk show. I did a political one, first of all. Bad idea. Politics was not fun, I'll tell you, because people were not willing to meet in the middle and have a discussion. It was more like, let's have a drag out. It was like wrestling. Let's rumble! That's what it was, and I wasn't into rumbling. So I decided then to interview people with creative arts. First of all, authors. And I've had a lot of interviews with authors. I've had over 100 and some of them. And it's been a fantastic. And now I get to tap that whole career with Mark Lewis being here and Annie Perkins. Because this is the new content makers right here. These are the people who are going to grow up making this system unbelievable. Guys like Mark and I are like the old vaudeville people who went to television. It basically is. We're the old vaudeville guys who found this area that we could entertain a huge audience. And now we get to develop and get to watch people like Annie become unbelievable. And that's the beauty of all this. I've watched my children do the same thing. So, Mark, in this idea, because now you're teaching, what is it that you want people like Annie to know about to give themselves the edge to go out there and be, because it hasn't changed how we do this. What has changed is how it's put out there.
Well, the bottom line to everything is that story is the basis of everything. Every human being understands story, right? And every human being is a storyteller because every human being has a story to tell. So if you have anything you want to say or anything you want to bring to the world, couch it, wrap it in the frame of story. Has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you told them. It's the simplest thing in the world. Human beings get it. It's in the lizard brain of humans.
So, Annie, you have questions to ask, so please.
Yes, I do.
And I happen to bring along Mark and me. And we even got Ian, and we got your parents here too, so that's pretty good. Because we have Ian, my son, who's the filmographer. We got Annie's mother, Kim, and her father, and what is your father's first name?
Mark.
Mark. Oh, there's two Marks.
Yeah.
I should have noticed that. That's it. So, here we are. So, please.
All right, well, I have some questions for you guys. Well, let's start with Mark here. Yes, okay. So, so the first question is, what is your daily routine like?
My daily routine is getting up, getting myself together, pulling in my humanness, and then taking care of whatever business I have to do during the day. And a lot of it has to do with calling in my muse. I have one of the goddesses. She's the 10th muse. Her name is Enthusiasmus, which comes from a Greek word which means the spirit within you. Okay? So I call in my muse, and I sit down, and I get ready to work, and she starts to talk to me, and I listen. And then I write it down.
Well, that's
good.
interesting.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, I am crazy too.
Oh, that's okay. I'm
But
crazy
harmless,
too.
But harmless.
I'm harmful, so.
I'm not crazy. I'm just insane.
Well, we're friends here. Okay. What is your daily routine like?
Oh, my daily routine. Well, I basically get up, take a bath, shower, shave, and then I sit in front of my computer and I look at what's going on out there. Some people might say it's it's lazy, but I want to see what's going on. I read everything I can find, every newspaper, everything, and I look to find that spark of creativity that will come alive for me. Some story, something that somebody else has seen, but I want to see it from my point of view. And that's what I do. And I look at it, and I think about people who I might want to talk to, people who I might want to find, that interesting part. Because part of life is communication, is being together. The internet hasn't made us individuals who are lost in a world that we're all by ourselves. It has opened us to a wider group. Matter of fact, the best part about the internet is discovery. And that's what I love, is the discovery, because now I can discover something I never would have thought of. I can put an idea out there and get a lot of different feedback on it. Now, it might be not always what I want to hear. I'll be upfront. Sometimes you get people who are just not happy. But their message is what you're looking for. And a lot of times, and as Mark has his wonderful muse, I have Loki. Loki is not the same Loki you think from the movies. Loki is the god of mischief. Loki's always been my patron saint because my life has been full of interesting and wonderful and craziness. And Loki has always sat there laughing with me. And that's the beauty of it all, is the ability to be part of the mischief going on there. I love it when mischief managed from wonderful J.K., from Harry Potter. Marvelous statement. And that is the beauty of it. So that's what I do. I get out there and start mischief.
All right. Okay, so is there a single activity that makes up most of your day?
For me, it would be trying to make sure I can keep all of the strings pulled in. I have about 25 or 30 different things happening all at once. So I have to constantly keep track of things and trying to keep all the beads, to keep threading beads on the string. So it's between teaching and writing and performing and my life, and it's just trying to keep it all work together. And I fail pretty well at it a lot of the times. But the cool thing about the failure is you learn what doesn't work. When you find what doesn't work, don't do it again.
That's so true.
I still sometimes do it again now. So
It's okay. It's okay.
That's the beauty of failure.
It's called learning.
Yeah, I mean, what I love is that what we usually see is the finished work. That's what I always have trouble, because when we look at guys who we want to be like, let's take Mark, okay? Because he is fun to look at. He's somebody who's made this. We all enjoy what he's done. What we see is the finished product when Mark performs for us. That's the thing we see. We don't see all the hard work, all the failure that went into making it. That's the same with anybody. We see Kevin Costner at his wonderfulness. We don't see the outtakes. We don't see the stuff that he did. So don't ever think that, oh man, no. They had to get to that point. So you don't get to be Kevin Costner today. You get to be Kevin Costner when he started, and you get your own journey. And that journey is amazing because remember, it isn't the destination. We don't go from point A to point C and all the stuff in between makes no difference. It's then we're suddenly there. It's that journey in between. That's the part I love, is that journey. Because I stop, I smell the roses, I look around, because sooner or later I'm going to get to that point. But getting to that point, I want to have something, a history, to grab onto, to understand. That's why when you hear people talk about read, always read. Yes, the reading is what brings you information you would never have had. Something that now that I'm in my 50s, I can go back and say, oh, I remember reading about that. I can look it up. I can remember that statement. And that's the beauty of it. So at your age, spend the time being that person. Grow. Allow yourself to fail. Oh my heavens. Failure will get you to success. Allow yourself. It's the holding back that you're afraid of. Don't be afraid.
all right, cool. Okay, what is the most difficult part of your job?
That's a really good question. For me, the most difficult job is follow through. It's like I'm really good at the, ooh, shiny, squirrel. Right? But I don't have ADD. I have AD because it's not a disorder. Right? And there's so many ideas are constantly coming into my head. The hardest part for me is to make sure that I get it all done, finished, because the next idea comes up and it's always the shiniest. So that's the hardest part for me. Because I don't have a boss that's going, you got to get this done by the time I get back, or we're going to rearrange your attitude with a sack of dimes. No, I have to manage myself, and I'm the worst employee ever.
I'd hate to have me as an employee. Yeah, that's true. So I would tell you, the hardest thing is, Mark hit it right there. That's one of the biggest ones. For me, it's is getting over fear. I've been doing this since ever I can remember, performing in front of people, and I never, even today on my way here, all the nerves, all the stuff coming up, because now you got to be on, and you got to be good, and you got to be interesting, and I remember the worst review I ever got in my entire life. It was starting my career, and I did this show, and the heat in the theater that I was at was hideous. It would get really hot because it was one of those steam heats, comes up out of the floor. It was hotter than heck in the theater, and the reviewer said, what was hideous was the heat, but even more hideous than that was John Rakestraw. So at that moment you'd think that you'd quit acting and say the heck with it. But I took that as a good criticism. And I stood in front of the mirror every time now since that day, and I look in the mirror, even in the morning, no matter what day it is, I look at it and I go, John, be anything but hideous.
Nice.
And that's what I've worked on, being better, being in the moment, understanding that. And getting in the moment, it's hard because we tend to want to be lazy. As Mark tells you, we don't have somebody standing behind us constantly saying boo boo. Though I do have somebody who wants the mortgage. I do have somebody who wants food. I do have people who want me to pay my internet bill. So that's the other thing that gets me up and gets me going, is that I need to get paid. And if I don't do something, I don't get paid. And that's the difference between being a freelancer and working for someone. Working for someone, you still have to do something. But it's pretty much a steady paycheck. It's there. And it becomes a wonderful thing. I have nothing against that. As a matter of fact, I have a steady paycheck. But on the other side, I have my most income made from my freelancing, my wife and what I do. And I have to tell you, If I don't sit there and tell myself I have to do this stuff, I get lazy and not worry about it because I have this other income. But I really need this other to pay everything. So it is getting over the fear.
And John's thing about fear is really important because it's always there. It's always there. But I heard a cool thing that fear is actually an acronym. It stands for false evidence appearing real. So every time you find yourself in fear, you go, okay, now wait a minute. Oh, I see. Here's the real stuff. It's not this. So just move on through it.
I like that. That's cool. Okay, what is the most rewarding part of your job?
For me, the most rewarding part is watching an audience change. To get up and tell the story or teach the class or meet with cool people and be interviewed by them. I love watching the audience change. I take my ideas, I take what I believe and my feelings and I put them out there and I watch how it affects the other person, right? And I come from a place of love always. I start from the place of love, right? Love for myself and what I do. And then once I have that handled, then everything else just flows from there. Because I learned years ago, when you get on, have you ever been on an airplane?
Yes.
Okay, and they say, should there be a loss of cabin pressure, please put your mask on first before attempting to help anybody else, right? So, you gotta take care of yourself first, your love for yourself first. And then there's so much left to spread around to everybody else. That's where I come from.
Well, that was really good. I don't even know if I want to follow up with that.
There's no competition.
There is no. What do I find the most rewarding? As Mark said, this interaction. This is amazing. This opportunity. It's the ability to know what you can do with an audience. And the first time I figured out what I could do with an audience was I was doing the part of Elwood P. Dowd. It's with the rabbit, the guy who, Harvey, the invisible
Great
rabbit.
show.
I'm playing the part that Jimmy Stewart did. No, I did not do it as Jimmy Stewart. But at one moment, he's asked by somebody, when did you meet Harvey? I'm on this stage, and now this stage happens to be one of those ones that's the full audience is almost all around you. It's about 180.
Like a thrust.
Yeah, a very big thrust stage. And I'm standing pretty much in the middle of it, and I'm describing this scene, and I suddenly point, and I do this. This is what the part that got me, is I went like this, and standing over there, and as I moved, I saw the whole audience go with me. I watched them follow my hand and look for a fake rabbit. There was nothing on stage.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, there was. But in reality, there wasn't. But to them, there was an invisible 6-foot rabbit standing over in the corner at a lamppost, and they saw it from my words, from what I was doing. And at that moment, I was hooked.
And it's the power of belief, too.
It is.
Power of belief. And number one, believe in yourself first.
Yes.
Believe in the fact that you can do the show, and believe in the fact that there's a 6-foot rabbit in it.
And this works for anything. I don't care if you're a guy who's going to become the manager of a store. You have to believe in what you're going to do and what you're going to do at that store before you can make your employees do the same thing. It's a belief system. It's one that you have to take the time and really understand what you're doing. Know every part of it. Live it. And when I write these characters, I found that everything I learned in acting works as a writer. Because I have to know what my character was. I was handed a script, basically. I would read that. I knew what I had to do. But I had to make those all come alive before I could put it before an audience. That's the same thing I do as a writer. That's the same thing I do here. I believed that I could put on a heck of an interview if I could get us all together. And here we are because I believed in it. It happened. Belief in oneself and in one ability of the magic. And I don't know how else to say it, but it is magic. It is a mystical, wonderful thing. And to be a part of it and make it happen is a huge gift. Because that moment, I made all those people remember a moment, and I remember that moment, and that happened 30 years ago. But that moment, 30 years ago, changed my life. It made me the performer I am today.
That's neat. All right, what is your work schedule? Like what hours, days, overtime, evening, weekends? It's kind of a weird question.
I teach to a regular schedule, okay, at the university. And I'm teaching Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, okay? In between then, my day is set up with with, again, trying to fit, again, I have to go back to the picture of the beads on the string, because there's so many different things happening in the times that I'm not in class. So it's no, I have no set schedule except for teaching. That's me.
Yeah, I have a regular schedule myself, and that is my driving when I'm a school bus driver. I get time off, thank heavens. It's nice during the holidays. But my schedule outside of that is pretty much, I set myself on a schedule this year, and that is I'm going to write 500 words a day for a novel. And it might be crazy, but I figured out 500 words in 90 days is 45,000 words. That's a small book. That's a nice little novella. 180 days is 90,000 words, and that's a book. So I set out doing that this year. I'm showing people that only 500 words a day, and you can have a book. That gives you 6 months to edit the book, get it through everything. If you want to self-publish, or you want to get it ready to go out to, an agent, out to a publisher, But that's 6 months. You could actually have a book ready by the end of the year if you self-publish, or at least ready to go out to an agent or something. So that's what I've done is set up. So I set myself up a schedule all the time. When I do these, I figure out how long it's going to take. But my schedule is open because it's mine. That's the beauty. I think that's what Mark is telling you. We have certain time we have to do for certain things. These are our, we have family, we have obligations, we have things to do. So we make time for those. But when the time comes for our creativity, that's open. When we're creative. I might be creative at midnight. Well, if that's okay on a day, that's okay. If it's not okay for one day, I have to make sure that creativity happens. But it's our time. And it's wonderful because we don't want to, it's hard to schedule creativity. You just can't sit everybody down at the table and say, be creative. Because suddenly they're, do this to people, I guarantee it. And I've seen this happen. Tell people that you're going to teach them how to dance. And one of the things is they want to teach you how to walk in opposition. You know that we walk in opposition? That's how we do it. When this foot goes forward, this arm is out, and but when you tell people, I want you to walk across the floor in opposition, suddenly they become self-conscious, and they're walking like this. And it's all because now you made them think about it. I used to do it in bowling. I'd go up against a guy, and the guy would go, I'm a better bowler than you. And I'd say, oh, that's interesting. You know what I've been wondering? He goes, what? Well, do you breathe in or out when you throw the ball? The guy is thinking about breathing in or out, and he throws the ball, and it goes all over the place. It's awful. And the guy would come back to me, I can't figure it out. I said, you hold your breath. But I made him stop and think. See, so that's the thing. Don't allow people to get in the middle of your process. Allow yourself your time. That's it. Control. It's a allow. See, there's the consent and allow principles in the world. And we allow and consent ourselves to a lot of things. But it's not always the things we really want. It's the things we think other people want us to do. What you need to do is think about what you want. Mark did this a long time ago. At a very young age, either someone or he saw something that made it so Mark did something totally different than most of the rest of us do. Something I had to learn later. I wanted to do, but I was scared. As I got older, I got rid of being scared because I needed to trust me. Mark learned how to trust himself, knew that the universe, whatever great power, would provide if I do what I need to do, if I honor what I am. And that's what I did. As I got older, it got easier, surprisingly, and it's marvelous. And I have to tell you, it's a great gift. So learn it now. Learn to allow yourself, give yourself consent, and become what you want to be, because that's what the universe needs and wants.
It's about permission.
All right. Are you required to travel from place to place?
I do, yes. I tell people my mantra as a creative being is carpe per diem, seize the pay. So I go to wherever the gig is, and I've worked in New York, I've worked in Washington, D.C., worked all over the country, in Europe as well. Right? I go to where the job is, which is the hard part, because as I reach my late youth, I'm discovering that it gets harder and harder to recover once I get home from the trip. So the good thing for me right now is having a university gig keeps me in town. So I don't have to travel and do the hotel thing. People say, oh, you get to stay in a hotel? I say, that's work for me. So I'm really happy. Yes, I do travel for my job, but I'm glad to be staying home now.
Yeah, I travel, but not like Mark. I don't travel all over. I travel like from my house to here. From my bed to my computer, which happens to be in my room.
It could be a long way.
It can, especially some of the places I dream about.
It's true.
I know. So the internet gives me the ability to travel. I talk to people all over the world. I talk to people all the time in Europe, in Asia, all over the place. So that's the beauty. So the internet has opened me up. Do I recommend travel? Yes. If you can travel, please do. There's life experience from that, and go for it. But I can do pretty much everything I need to do with what I've decided right where I'm at.
All right, what effect does this job have on your home or family life?
When I'm traveling, it's tough. It's really hard. It's really hard. I worked for a year down in La Jolla, California. I taught down there, and it was really hard for my family and for me because, when you're seeing each other every day, you grow, and things move like this. But when you're apart, you grow parallel. So you don't always grow together. So it was really, really hard. And being on the road is hard. And my family does a great job of keeping this together while I'm gone, which is cool. Yeah. And because when I'm performing, I'm usually working at night. So during the day, I'm trying to catch up for the nights that I just did the shows. But I'm lucky because they care.
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
What I think? Well, my family has always been with me when I decided to have kids, but I didn't have them until I was almost 30. I waited. I had a long adolescence. My wife and I did. So the kids are always. Ian, do you feel that you've not been a part of my life?
I don't know, does that count as sitting in the back room, not really seeing you unless I come out of the bedroom? Count?
I know, you sit in your man cave.
Well,
he sits in his man cave.
I still hate that wood, so come on that.
He hates that wood. So, excuse me, So, no, it's not been hard for my family. I don't travel like Mark has. I've always been there. When I did a large part of my theater, I did it before I had kids. Once I had children, I didn't do it as much because I had to feed and have a house. I wish I could have made a living doing it. But now, no, I have no trouble with it because, like Mark said, even if I had to travel, there would be a connection. I can call them. I can be together with them. You know that performers out there have lives. Some have long marriages, some don't. But Mark has had a wonderful life with his children and his wife. They all adore him. Think he's fabulous.
So far.
Yeah. And mine think wonderfully of me, too, though I pay them quite well for that. But the reality is...
There's an advantage.
Yeah. The reality is that they will love what you love. They will want to make sure that you have what you want if they're part of your life and want you to be happy. And that includes your parents, that includes your brothers and sisters, that includes anybody in your life. If that person isn't feeding you to your dream, then you need to find someone who will. My family is wonderful. They didn't understand me, but they didn't say no, but they didn't support it either. They didn't want, that wasn't something they were into. But my wife was someone who wanted it, and I found a different support system. My family's lovely. I love them. My dad and mother they didn't understand it all, but they loved it anyway. So you can find your own support. Just make sure you find the support people who are going to help you be who you are. That's the beauty of it. So when you look for somebody in your life, make sure there's someone who wants to be a part of that. Don't just take them because you think they'll give you something. Make sure they understand who you are.
That's good advice. All right. What level of education or type of training is required for this job?
Well, I've been a professional performer for 40 years. Okay, so it's doing it. It's really important to go to school, get your education, get the degrees. And to do what I do, you have to do it. You have to be out there doing it. So I've been in the public performing for 40 years and keeping track of it in my head, watching how it works, watching how I can get the desired reaction from the audience. And I've always found the secret is to tell the truth. And people say, well, as a storyteller, you must be a good liar. And I say, no, you always have to tell the truth. Because everybody's been lied to in their life, so they know what it feels like. So as a storyteller and a performer and an actor, you always tell the truth. That's the nature of the beast. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is.
All right, what about you?
What was the question again?
Oh,
I got so lost in Mark.
what level of education or type of training is required?
Well, to tell you the truth, one of the things you have to learn in your life is that your education isn't a small part of your life. Education isn't this one area and then you have the rest of your life. Education is from the day you take your first breath to the day you take your last breath. You are educated all the way through. Life changes, things come along. If anybody told me when in my 20s that I'd be sitting at a table here recording this, talking to some people, and then going to take it and put it on a box that is a TV with a keyboard stuck to it, and then I'm going to send it out to other people out of my house being produced here, I would have told them, yeah, funny. You know, I'm the guy who would have lost money when they would have told me about texting. You know, if somebody would have said to me, you know, if we did this texting thing, people will buy it and we'll make all kinds of money. And I would have said, no way. And I would have lost all kinds of money. So the reality, education is a lifelong, starving, wonderful, beautiful meal that you have to have more of. You can't stop learning. When you stop learning and think you know it all, you don't know a thing. Your life is a constant, wonderful journey. And learning is part of it. So, there'll be the formal learning. You can take all the college you want, and I agree with it. I think you should. Learn. Go there. Understand. Learn how to think. One thing they're going to teach you in college is, if you really look at it all, is how to think, how to research, how to look up something, how to know. A doctor doesn't know every disease in the book. A doctor knows how to go into a back room, look it up. They used to look it up in books. I think now they can look it up on a computer. But they know how to do that. The same with lawyers. They know how to look. That's the beauty of it. Actors, performers, anybody has to have a huge menu to choose from. And at one point, because let's face it, Mark and I are marvelous at stealing. We are. That's our job. We go out and we steal from other people. Now what we do is we take what we've seen from them and we make it us. First part of any type of learning is imitation. Once you've made it part of you, then it becomes organic. And suddenly it's you. And it's you making those decisions, you looking at them. If you ever notice, when they started teaching, when the masters started teaching other people, they taught them how they painted. And then those people started painting their way. Because you have to have a basis for a foundation. From that, you can grow and make wonderful. You can push the envelope. You can build beautiful things. All because you're able to see somebody else who does it. And it doesn't even have to be good. You can learn as much from somebody who's bad as you can learn from somebody who's good. You want to see both. Learning is just experimenting, living. So go out and experiment and experience.
Learn everything.
Yeah. Don't stop.
I don't know if I'm supposed to, because he said I'm not supposed to. All right. What suggestions do you have for someone interested in this type of work?
Tell me what type of work we're talking about.
Just film making, film stuff.
Filmmaking, film acting, film writing?
I don't know. I guess film acting, because I want to be a voice actor, and you guys are the closest things here in Eugene that are.
Yep. Well, what I would say is, if you're looking into voice acting, learn how to act. Okay? Take acting classes so you learn how to use your body to express yourself. And then as a voice actor, you learn how to take your voice and express everything that your body was doing through your voice. Right? And the secret to that is listening. You got to listen to everybody. Listen to how they talk. When I was in Scotland, I was watching their mouths. Because in Scotland, they don't open their mouths at all. It's not talk like that, you know. Oh, that's great, lad. Don't you? Hey. Hey, I got a spittle up too. Hey, that's great. So it's about listening and being able to take your emotions and be able to put them through your voice Because that's the secret. You take what I do is I get a picture of the character in my head, and I see them, right? And then I listen in my head to how they sound, okay? And then I say it into the microphone so that it goes through the microphone into the listener's ears and the picture reappears in their head. Right? But I can't control what their picture is. But I can control what they're hearing if you're rather of Irish. That's great fun too, you know. There's tricks, there's certain tricks you can do.
That's funny.
Right. It's heaps of fun.
I can't do an Irish accent,
Well,
so.
I can teach you.
Irish, it's just, it's high in the voice and it's breathy.
It always turns into a British accent.
That's okay.
I don't know. So.
They just cross the little channel from each other.
So it's listening. It's about
it's
listening.
And it's okay. It takes time. No, the big thing about voice acting is basically, first of all, not only acting, but voice lessons. And I'm going to tell you, I was a stutterer. That's where I come from. I was a hideous stutterer. As a matter of fact, it's still hard for me today to do certain words because it caused the stuttering. And I learned because they had me sing. They taught me, and I learned the lyrics of the musical of talking. Surprisingly, Shakespeare, even though it's a meter, it's a close meter to what we normally talk. And they taught me Shakespeare, of all things, to teach me to get rid of the stutter. And what happened was I learned how to breathe. I learned how to handle the breath, to have the foundation to be able to talk. Especially on stage, if you're going to be doing a 2-hour show, you have to have the energy to project to an audience, and you have to do that. Now, with voice acting, it's suddenly not all this. As Mark said, it's suddenly here. Now, some voice actors can just sit in a chair and do a beautiful job. Others have to stand up and do the movements while they're talking into the mic. Either one works. It's the physicality. When you smile, when something, there's a difference to your voice when it's a smile with the eyes than a smile, just a smile. It's learning the body. It's learning the body. But the main thing to learn as a voice actor, and this is the one thing nobody ever talks about, even as an actor, no matter what, you have to know what kind of actor are you, what are the roles you're going to get, and then work towards it. I had a great teacher who knew that I wasn't Tom Cruise. I wanted to be Tom Cruise. I'm not Tom Cruise. Look at me, I'm not Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is wonderful in what he does. Whether we can talk town and how we feel about it, but he's wonderful what he does, because he knows who Tom Cruise is. That's the same thing. I had to know who John Rakestraw was. I was a character actor. That's what I would. That's what I do. And that's what I'm at. Or I'm John here. I'm good at being me. And that's the thing, is be good at being you, because when you walk in, that's what they're going to hire. They're not going to hire a Scottish accent. They're not hiring. They're hiring Mark. See, Mark understands that. Mark knows that they're going to hire me because they like me. If they like how well you worked, they're going to, when they start going back through their things, they're going, oh, Mark, I really liked him. I liked working with him. I wonder if he can do that. And they'll put your name in the pile to call. That's who they're hiring. They're not hiring that voice. They're hiring that person. So know who you are. Look in, find out, and be that. Have somebody who's a good mentor who will help you find it. Because you can't always see it yourself. But that's why you take the classes. That's why you do all that. Hopefully you get a good mentor who will say, this is what you need.
Decide on what you want.
Yeah.
Decide and go after it until you find it's not what you want.
And then move and change it
do,
again.
Do the next thing.
Trust me, this is a lifelong journey. And I did acting on stage for 10 years. Now I'm doing, I did my other life. Now I'm doing the internet stuff and interviews. So that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all, and I use all the stuff I've had. Nothing is wasted. No education is ever wasted. I know how to spin. Some people might think that's not important, but I love it. I know how, and I can make clothes if I have to. So.
Because everything you learn, you'll use, right?
Honest.
Everything in school. For instance, if you go to an audition where you have to be, let's say they're looking for a young, brilliant female chemist, right? Who's going to be creating this new, exciting medicine, right? And you can say deoxyribonucleic acid and know what you're talking about. That comes across on your interview, on your audition, and they go, "Wow, she was smart. She knows what it means," and you get the job. Because your life changes in 30 seconds.
It does.
It's between thank you and thank you.
Because you knew something.
Okay, what are 3 most useful skills someone should have or learn for this job?
For my job, it would be listen, listen, and probably listen. Yeah, because that's how you learn. You learn by listening. Because then you understand what questions you need to ask. And you're listening to how people talk. You're listening for how people move. It's like listening, using your whole body to listen. That's what I would say.
Well, listen. All right.
Right.
I would add subtext. Now, the reason I want to tell you about subtext is because it's the thing that changed my acting and my thought in life. Subtext is the inner monologue in your head. The stuff in between the lines that they always tell you, what's in between the lines. As an actor, when I was taught about subtext, and I saw it in a book when I was probably about 21, and it changed my acting from just sitting on stage, being a participant, but not being almost an audience member, watching it, to when I suddenly was in the scene. I was thinking like that character at that moment. I wasn't doing anything else in my head. I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do after the show. I wasn't thinking about who I wanted to have fun with that night. I wasn't thinking about anything but what that character would think about at that moment. Right now, the only subtext going on in my head isn't about anything but what's going to go on, what Mark's going to say, what you're going to say, what's going on here. That's how I stay in the scene. That's how I stay where I'm at. Because my subtext keeps me there. It keeps me in the scene. And that changed my acting. That changed my life. From that moment, anytime I did anything, when I'm there with my children, my subtext is about my child. When we were having at delivery, when we were having our children, my mind was about what we were going to do at that moment. It has changed a lot in my life. So subtext. I agree with Mark. Listen, listen, listen. And not just give it, I'm going to listen, I'm going to pretend like I'm listening. Listen. You'd be surprised while you're on stage or even anywhere how often, if you just sat there and listened, that suddenly something comes that you never saw in the scene before because you suddenly got a meaning out of what they're saying.
And listening is how you stay in the scene.
Yeah.
It's how you stay present.
It's how you stay in the scene even in real life. So
you're right.
If you do it there, you'll do it everywhere. And it will become so much that you don't even have to think about listening. You just do it. Mark is right about listening. And subtext.
Yes.
That was nice eyebrow.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. How long have you been doing this job? Do you have... Okay. Did you have to do any other jobs first to qualify for this one?
Ooh, good question. I have been doing this for over 40 years, and the only job I had to do was to believe in myself enough. To believe in myself enough to be able to stand up there and say, yeah, I'm worth it. Because I used to work all night for $20 and dinner at parties, performing. And then one day I said, no, I think this is worth something. So I said, well, this costs $300. The minute I did that, people started listening because I believed it was worth something. Because you can't really give it away till you own it, right? So, boom, cost $300. What I found was the people that had hired me would go, everybody be quiet, quiet. This costs a lot of money. I want you to listen. So it's about knowing that you're worth it. That was the key. That's the hardest part. Because you think, oh no, everybody does this. No, I'm not worth it. No, you're worth it. Because you wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't worth it.
The job I had before was being a kid. And I tell you, that was the best job I had ever. It made me do unbelievable things. I was able to think, build, and it paid me beautifully. Because it paid me to be who I am now. That childhood was marvelous. And that's the part I never forget. That's the beauty of my age having a 6-year-old in my household. Because she reminds me of what it's like to be 6-year-old. I forgot. If I had not had it, I would forget what it is, the wonder of if you pick up something and the beauty of it, putting something together. I don't want to lose that. I never want to lose that. Because without that wonderful childlike wonder, my life would be boring. I would be an adult. I don't want to be an adult. Not the way they say adults are.
It's way overrated.
It is. It is. Yeah. My homework now is paying bills. It's not as fun as getting an A. I don't even get it at the end of it. They actually make me do it again. And do it again. And do it again. They don't give me, and you know, they don't even put me on the dean's list for being good about it, you know. All right, so the reality is, I don't want to lose that. So that's the beauty of it. I have that child. That was my job. That was the best job I ever had. And as an adult, my whole life has been to relive that part. I haven't lost sight of being responsible, doing all the things I need to do as an adult, to learn, put all the things in the right pegs, make sure. But I never want to lose that wonder, that magic, how something works. I still think that TV, I can understand when it comes in a cable and hooks the back of the, but when you put an antenna up and you get moving pictures, that's magic. I can understand a cable, anybody can send something through a cable, but something that comes through the air and moves and talks, that's amazing. And I want to keep that wonder, that magic. That's the beauty. Yeah, that was my job. Yeah, I've had other jobs. I've had jobs that paid me, that make it so I can do. I've done everything from a dishwasher to working at retail to being I was a yard bird. I for 2 years, I ran around doing parades. I was this guy who wore this outfit, lost a lot of weight. I did everything. Yes, they made me money. They paid my bills. But all that led me to this. Everything I've done. But it's the magic and wonder that keeps it going.
What is the salary range for this job, and what is the entry-level salary in Eugene?
Eugene?
I
Man.
don't even know.
There's the Eugene buck, and I hate to talk about it, but it is true.
Well, yeah. In my business, it's how much you're willing to charge them and how much they're willing to pay, right? And I have made everything in my life from $1,000 an hour to working all night for $20. Right, so it just depends on your client and how you bid it. The hardest part for me is when you say, here's what I charge, and they say, well, we'd like you to do it for free because it'd be great exposure for you. And my answer is always, you know, people die from exposure. Right? So it's just what you're willing to charge. And it's also saying no, which is the hardest part. So what I usually say is, what's your budget? Right? And if they say their budget, then I'll say, I can do 10 minutes for that.
That's what I did. I found out that was the greatest thing. Or, this is another one, and I learned this being a car salesman, but I've used it a lot in my regular life. And that was, you ask somebody, so how much money do you have to put down? And they say this to you, oh, I have $800. And you say, and? And they go, well, I could go to 12. And then you talk a little longer, and then you go, now how much you have? I think you said something like, what was it you had? They go, oh, 12. And, okay, I can go to 1,800. So within that little shorter bit of time, you can take somebody from $800 to 1,800, all by saying the word and. What you need to know is what their budget is. Then you figure out what can you do with that kind of money. Don't let them decide, because they'll want you to put a price, because then they're going to knock that price down. Go ahead.
But know what you're worth.
Yes.
Know what your talent's worth.
Always know your worth.
Yep.
You're worth a lot. Starting out, it's a tough thing, because you're going to want to get jobs. So you're going to take internships. Trust me, you're going to do a lot of what we call pro bono work. But that's to get yourself some experience, get yourself out there. Don't shy away from it. Do it, because that'll put you under pressure, make you do it. Then start being able to ask later that you need to get paid for this. Don't do that all the time, because they'll think they got it for free, they think they can get it free forever. And they do the one where they say, great exposure. Yes, Mark is right. So starting out in this area, I've worked, as Mark says, for $20, and I've worked for thousands of dollars. I have to. And, you just do the best you can, and it's by the job. And never think of it hourly. If you did it hourly, you'd kill yourself, because it's hard. Don't get into the hourly thinking. It's what they want us to do. Don't do it. Think about the job. what is you have to do the job for, and don't make it so that you're doing the job so that you regret doing the job.
I got a gig one time. They said, we got 200 second graders. I want you to entertain them for an hour. And I said, here's what it costs. And they went, you charge a lot for an hour. I said, you're not paying for the hour in front of those second graders. You're paying for the last 40 years that it took for me to learn how to do this hour in front of 200. Do you want to stand in front of 200 hours? No. There you go.
There you go. You're paying for what you have.
What's the next question?
The next one is, are there any benefits like health insurance or paid vacation? Or
In my gig, no. None whatsoever. None. Right?
Freelance, no. Freelance is that exactly. What freelance means is that you're a hired, they're going to hand you a paycheck. They're going to hand you an amount. But it's not a paycheck like we get when we work. They're not taking taxes out of it. They're not taking, not all. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you what is called a 1099 form at the end of the year. They're going to send you a bunch of them, and you're going to have to take these 1099s, and then you're going to have to pay taxes. So what you do is, if you do it right, you've been paying taxes quarterly, so you don't have to pay it all. Then you get your Social Security, because you want Social Security, and the only way to get that is you have to show income. So yes, you don't get all that other stuff. You buy that yourself. So if you need health insurance, you're buying it yourself. If you need a vacation, well, just like everybody else, you're taking 2 weeks off, but you don't get paid for it unless you're smart enough to make it so that you have residual income. Residual income is an amazing process, and how you do that is either by, Mark does it with a lot of tapes, a lot of different things. He has books, he has lots of stuff, but it's that idea of something else. What I call it, it's that virtual money-making machine, and that's something that you can put together that can make you money while you're not working. Hopefully you can come up with something like that.
But the real benefits is watching the audience change. And watching what you do change people's ideas. What's next?
okay. Oh, you seem very enthusiastic.
I love what I do.
Man, it's a fun life.
All right. How has technology influenced your job?
It's allowed, as John has said, it's allowed me to reach a wider audience. I mean, I put some of my poetry up on the web, and I actually got an email from a woman in Yugoslavia saying, I found your poem, changed my life, saved my life today. So it's been able to take a human being telling a story and putting it out to an incredibly wide.
Okay. All right. So
How's technology?
how's technology? I'll tell you what it's done. It has made me have an audience that is worldwide.
There you go.
That's what it's done. Technology is an amazing thing. But technology can get in the way. Mark does storytelling, and he talks this thing called old wave special effects.
That's correct.
And that's the beauty of it, because the reality is this is all you get when you hire Mark. Well, he also sometimes gets 2 flutes, and he does them both at the same time, which is really cool. But one of the things is that he does this all by peer storytelling. And that's the thing we've forgotten how to do, is how to tell a story. We don't always allow ourselves to just use this. We think we need the flash, we need all the wonder and all the special effects. When in reality, Mark entertains 200 kindergartners for an hour. An hour.
300 adults.
I have them on my bus for a half hour, and I have to work really hard to keep them entertained. Mark does it for an hour. That tells you technology isn't it. It's how you use the technology. You don't need $1,000 worth of recording equipment. You don't need a giant studio behind you. You don't need all that. What you need to do is know who you are, how you can do it, who you can be, what you want, a dream, and magic. The magic is believing in you. That's all it is believing in you.
Okay, the next one is, what do you think the future outlook is for your job or career?
Stories are forever. And storytelling is forever. And everybody loves to hear a story. So I think that getting people to pay me to tell them stories is probably going to be around for a long, long time. And with the voiceover stuff that you want to do, that's telling stories too, right? You're selling product, or you're doing books on tape or books on digital. Okay, so it's about the entertainment value. So I think what I'm doing is going to be around a long, long time, and I'm glad about that. Now I just got to find an agent who can help me.
Yeah. The outlook is great. Getting the work is the fun part. And you can get the work, you just got to take the time, get the right contacts, have that magical moment, and just work. It's great. There's no problem. Matter of fact, nowadays with the new digital ability, video games, heck, online stuff is everywhere. Everybody's doing it. Matter of fact, you're going to see a whole new change this year. I believe 2014 is a year that digital stuff coming into the household is going to change. Suddenly, people are going to be using their game systems or the little boxes for the entertainment, and the cable industry is going to have to change to that. We're going to go to a very much on-demand. You'll be able to put in and say, I want to see Mark Lewis, boom, boom. Mark will have his stuff up there, on demand, ready to come. And that's what you'll be doing. That's the new world coming. We want our entertainment when we want it, not at a prescribed time.
I see you created this. You have one question here that you made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been reading off a list, but this one is.
This is hers.
Yeah, wow.
This is hers.
Wow. Okay. Why did you decide on the job you did?
I decided because I can't not do what I do. I have to do this. I can't not. So what's a double negative make?
Makes it a positive,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't not do it means I have to do it. I'm passionate about what I do because I love me. I love what I'm doing, and I can't not. I love putting it out there to the world. And I'll get you some links and stuff if you want to see some of the stuff I've done. Yeah. You can hear my voice demo if you want.
Why did I decide to do what I did? Because I don't know how to do anything else. I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted this. This is what I wanted. And
That's cool.
That's the idea. We can sit there and dream and tell ourselves that I could have had what I wanted, or I could have been what I wanted. But the reality is, do it. Be it. Do it.
Make it so, number one.
That's right. Make it so. That's the beauty of it, because there was nothing else for me to do.
John Rakestraw, can she plug her YouTube
Yes, please.
channel? Plug your YouTube channel.
You got a YouTube
Seriously.
channel?
Yeah.
She's got a YouTube channel.
You're lucky because you have this voice speaking from the heavens telling you to plug your YouTube channel.
Wow.
Right. Well, I do have a YouTube channel, and if you want to look at it, then it's called Titanium, and basically it's spelled Titannieum, which is kind of an interesting name, but I came up with it a really long time ago, like a few years ago when I was little, sort of.
What kind of content is on it?
Just little films and videos.
That's
and
not a
Fantastic.
just. It's got little films.
It's
and
got
videos.
little
Yeah.
big films, because she did them. They're big.
Well, they're like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But-
Hey, 2-minute entertainment, that's good.
I don't have my own YouTube channel.
I do.
Okay.
No, but Mark has many things you can find him on. Where can we find you, Mark?
I will hand this stuff off to John. You can find it on his website.
Okay.
Because I don't have them memorized at the moment.
That's all right.
And Mark Lewis.
Yeah, Mark Lewis, you can find him on the net on Facebook. He's on Facebook.
Yes, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm everywhere. You can just type in John. I'm actually live up in Portland, and I do lots of bird pictures. No, there's a guy, my name, on the internet. His name is John Rakestraw too, and does beautiful bird pictures. Actually,
Nice.
I actually get people asking me, so how do you get those bird pictures? I said, because I get them from John. So, but yes, we're all on the net. Go to her YouTube. Mark Lewis is for hire. He is amazing.
I can be had.
He can.
I mean, I'm available.
Yes, and for a price. He doesn't do it for free. And actually, he did this one for free, so that's it. He did his pro bono for this year.
Thank you for letting me come in.
Thank you.
Well, thank
so
you
much.
for having me.
And Mark,
thank you
it is
for...
more than a pleasure. It's always wonderful
Thanks,
to have
Cap.
you. And take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. Hi, I want to thank you once again for watching. This is John Rakestraw, and I am so happy to have the opportunity for you to meet, well, first of all, Annie Perkins. Great lady. She's wonderful. She's an up-and-coming content creator. She's already creating content. Please go to her YouTube channel. It's very simple. Just click on that little link up there. She's great. Also, I'd like you to also remember Mark Lewis. Great guy, wonderful talent, and it was great to have him here. And if you need anybody to help you with anything, Mark is there. He's great with making content, with creativity. He's fantastic, and he's a great, magnificent storyteller. Also, I want to thank Ian Rakestraw. He's the guy who made this all possible by filming this all. And it's not easy having to keep an eye on all of us. He did a fantastic job. There's his YouTube channel, and then there's me. Well, actually, me there. If you look down there, that's where you can go to my YouTube channel. Click on that and subscribe. Remember, to feed the soul of creative content makers, read their books, blogs, and posts. Have a great day.